And I just remember getting the phone call. It was before 8, and Dot, the director of operations, was just like, Dale, Oaksterdam's getting raided. You need to get downtown. I can't get a hold of Richard. And I wake up Jeff, and we just immediately just start pulling on our clothes, and we had a 1-year-old. We're just trying to get ready and strapping the baby into his ergo once after we get downtown, and just walking towards this like massive throng. And we realized later Richard wasn't answering, of course, because they had raided his apartment and took his phone and his car keys. So while they didn't arrest him or officially detain him, it's not like a guy in a wheelchair can go very far without car keys or a telephone. And so he was at his place while they were raiding all of the downtown buildings, all of his businesses. And each business just had a line of Oakland police officers forming between the federal agents and the crowd, because the local news picked it up at 8 a.m. It felt like a movie where you see this crowd of hundreds of people in the street, like they just shut down Broadway, shouting, shame, 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 DEA, go away, over and over and over again. And all these agents just standing around the building as the line of our local police kept the crowd at bay, protecting the federal government from the citizens of Oakland who were pissed off that they were raiding their school. We were the folks that helped revitalize the neighborhood. Richard Lee had given so much back to so many schools and communities and nonprofits in this area, politicians in this area. He had been politically active in this area. And it was the early work of Jeff Jones and Richard Lee that really reinvested downtown Oakland to bring foot traffic back, which is what brought business back. It's what brought the sandwich shop back, and the coffee shop, and the clothing shop, and the sushi shop. And it was our students that came to town. Those 50,000, a solid 30,000 of them certainly came through the Oakland campus, and they stopped, and they shopped, and they ate, and they stayed in our hotels, and they paid our taxes. And it changed the face of this city. I remember the Oakland City Councilwoman at large, Rebecca Kaplan, standing next to me. She saw me, she's in her baseball hat, and I was standing outside just trying to figure out what to do, trying to get a hold of Richard. As soon as she stood next to me, a reporter noticed. And all of a sudden we were just surrounded by just all of these recorders and cell phones and whatever they had all up in our face. And I remember at one point, because my baby was still strapped on my front in an ergo, and I remember having to ask them to please, you're resting your microphone on my baby's head. And they're like, oh my gosh, there's a baby in there. Just trying to talk to the press and take this opportunity to talk about why we really needed these federal forces in Oakland, because we had a gun violence problem, and we were begging the federal government in this moment, if the press is paying attention, if the people are paying attention, the federal government just walked in and raided a legal cannabis business and a school. And we are begging for help in our community with all of these other issues, and you don't warn our cops, you don't tell us you're coming, and you go raid the second largest tax producer in the city and take everything. And our local government was pissed. And then everything just stopped. Everything stopped. The entire line of cops went down to listen. Every reporter pulled back their phone, and everything just stopped like a record. Just like, what? Oh my God. Was this a terrorist attack? Like, this is how I remember 9/11. What the fuck just happened? And I'm just like panicking inside, because what just caused everything to stop? It has to be bad. And it was the worst school shooting Oakland had ever experienced, going on a couple miles away at Oikos University, the other OU in Oakland. Had a gunman killing students. And those cops couldn't move. The look on their face was torture. Our local cops, our Oakland PD, were tortured because they were stuck protecting the Fed, who wasn't supposed to be there that morning, who didn't tell them they were coming, and they couldn't respond to the worst violence we had seen in this city. They couldn't respond. There's a direct ramification to lives lost that day and how fast Oakland PD could go respond to the true tragedy happening that morning. And instead, they were raiding a school for a plant that had never killed anyone. The school teaching people how to follow the law and pay their taxes.